Tales from afar, stories to burn, dodgy old geezers and lessons to learn. From Alfred to Jerry, the scamps and the graft, they're spilling the beans and having a laugh. Mark, Annie and Pete, they're talking matter for you. Old school charm and a pint or two. So press play now, don't miss a treat. You'll love the stories, put it on the slate. Tales galore and so much more. So listen now with her indoors.
Hello and welcome to On the Slate, our podcast dedicated to all things Minder. We've gone back to 1979 and started watching this classic show from the very beginning. Each week we rewatch, review and rate a classic episode. What are we doing today, Pete?
Well, today, Andy, we are watching Series 1, or Season 1, as our American cousins like to say, Episode 3, The Smaller They Are.
And this was written by the show's creator, Leon Griffiths, and directed by the legendary Roy Ward Baker. The first of 13 episodes that he directed for Minder.
Along with Dennis Waterman and George Cole, as usual, this episode stars Glyn Edwards as Dave, Peter Childs as Rycott, and Phil McCall as Scotch Harry. Okay, Pete, set the scene for us. What's going on today?
Well, I'm happy to do the bizzo for us, Andy. So, in this episode, we meet a couple of small-time villains, Scotch Harry and his utmost Stan, and they accidentally come across the biggest haul of their lives. $500,000 in cash. But with the rightful owners and DC Rycott on their tail, it's up to Terry and Arthur to negotiate its return. For a small fee, of course.
Of course. So here we are with episode 3. Now, it's a bit of a landmark episode, this one, in some respects. It's the first time we meet Rycott. It's also the first time we properly go to the Winchester Club. Now, this episode, and Scotch Harry in particular, are real fan favourites. Is this a favourite of yours, Mark?
I think it's becoming one. I think when I first watched it, there's some really brilliant moments, but I wasn't that taken with it. I preferred last week's episode, but having watched it again, you're really coming round to it. I think the one-liners in this are absolutely top-notch. I think some of the characters are really good. It's a real fun 50 minutes.
And you, Pete, what do you think?
Well, I'm tempted to take Mark into the virtual Winchester car lot and give him a good slap, because I think this is absolutely one of my favourites. I think it's a really brilliant episode. I think it's a bit unusual stylistically in parts, but I think there's some classic Minder Terry and Arthur tropes going on, and yeah, we've got some really good character actors and just some lovely little moments where nothing's said, and we'll get into that later on, but I think there's some real quality stuff going on in this episode. Yeah, I love this one. Yeah,
I'm kind of somewhere in between the two of you. I'll be breaking up the fight in the car lot. I kind of agree with Mark. When I first rewatched it, I did find Scotch Harry a bit annoying.
That is in my notes.
Now I watched it again. You get the more subtleties of it, and I do love it now. But I think the first time I rewatched it, like Mark, I wasn't entirely sure, but I have come around to it. So there's a lot to get into here, isn't there? I think this could be quite an interesting one.
It starts.
So where do we start?
It starts wonderfully, doesn't it? It's in the Winchester Club, and it is a sensational scene. There's some great one-liners in there. Arthur's not being very Arthur as we came to know him. He's quite, he's a little bit after the ladies. He's got an eye for the ladies, and he's there's a great line that I wrote down. He's talking about having women around, and he goes, Picasso always had a few young birds about, kept him going until his 90s. I think
his paintings weren't all that, though, were they? But before that, he's always said that's what her indoors doesn't understand. Having a young birds like that around keeps me young. So is that the first time he mentions her indoors?
Oh, possibly.
I can't remember whether we had it. Yeah. That's that is really nice, and it's there's a little bit of sexist stuff going on in there.
Oh yeah, so you wouldn't do it now, would you? It's Dennis Ward.
Couldn't do it these days.
Terry utters the immortal line, "Don't get many of them to the pound," which is very much of its time. No one says
Very
that
much.
anymore. Not in public earshot, anyway.
Not before we click record.
Yeah.
It's a bit. It seems almost a little bit forced. Like, I'm kind of amazed that even sort of Dennis Waterman, who was obviously probably quite roguish in his outlook towards these matters, I'm amazed that he didn't say, well, would he say that? Would he be as full on as that? But anyway, he does. Yeah. So it sets the scene. They're having a nice little time. It feels like they're there on pleasure rather than business, shall we say?
It does look very inviting, doesn't it? Do you think you'd love to be in there when you're having a drink with them? It does look like a nice little Saturday afternoon in the Winchester.
Well, here's a question for you both. Have you ever been to a proper private drinking club like that?
Oh, well, we've been to many Saturday afternoon drinking sessions, but I'm not sure if I've ever been a proper drinking club of that ilk. Remind me, Ange.
What was that place where Richard Harris was in?
Oh, yeah. The green room, wasn't it? Or was it the green? You're not the green door. I mean, Shaking Stevens.
Yeah, I think it was
again.
called the green. I think it was the green.
Yeah,
room.
on Adams Street.
That was a bit like that.
Yeah.
That was a bit like that.
Yeah, it was right by the Savoy, and which obviously Richard Harris lived in the Savoy, so he'd be in there quite regularly. But we went to see a couple of shows there, which our friends were performing at, and Richard Harris would turn up late. So that was sort of a drinking club, I think. But it was for actors. It was for actors.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah.
Well, the Phoenix is a little bit like that, where we where I met you lads for the first time.
Yeah.
Richard Harris used to drink at the Coal Hall, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him in there as well.
Saw him in there as well. Yeah.
So I know we've gone off topic, but this is fascinating.
We have already.
I didn't realise you lived at the Savoy.
Yeah, and because I work in insurance, and we did a survey of the Savoy, and while we were there, the manager was taking us around, showing us back of house, and he said, right, we're just go and see some rooms. And he said, is there any particular rooms you want to see? I said, can you take me where Richard Harris, his room? Because he'd passed away maybe 8 months, 10 months prior to that. Right. He said, yeah, fine. So we went up to Richard Harris's suite, and I went and sat on his toilet, just for the you don't get that opportunity very often, do you?
Oh.
I didn't do it. I just sat on there. I didn't derobe.
Yeah. I think we were hoping that was the case, but thanks for for clarifying.
Thanks for clarifying. Anyway, we need to get back on topic.
Back to the Winchester.
Yeah. So then Stan walks in.
Yes, and he's quite a sort of imposing, awkward character, isn't he? I think it would be fair to say that he's meant to be, to use modern parlance, he's meant to obviously have a bit of a learning disability. He's meant to be not the quickest, shall we say?
Yeah, or a bit simple, as we would have said in the 70s and 80s.
That's what I was trying to say.
and I absolutely love this character. This is I think it's a brilliant turn he does. Is it Dave Jackson, isn't it? I think he does it really well. He's a really endearing character. A lot of really good qualities, and I really like him. And it's a bit unfortunate for him that he's got in with Scotch Harry, really.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy a new cardigan on Monday. That's just like such a random line. That's just brilliant. Oh, very nice.
So, yes, he tries to palm off some what turns out to be US dollars on Arthur. And then so Arthur goes to the bar and tries to palm the note off on Dave, leaving Terry and this chap behind, and they have that slightly awkward chat. And that's one of the moments, just one of those little faces that Dennis Waterman pulls when he just looks at him and he goes, "You all right?" I struggle to, like, I mean, there are people out there who've got the original scripts, but little things like that, I always think they must have kind of just worked up on the day.
Yeah.
You know, because how would you communicate that in a script? So yes, so the scene is set, and then something's said about Scotch Harry, maybe, or where is he? And then we start to get the full. Or we start to get some of the story. He says
he's got a few more of those dollars, didn't he? $100 bills. So they go around to see him, don't they, in his flat?
And what a horrible place that is.
It's revolting, isn't it?
Do you think that's? I mean, it looks legit with the staircase.
It does, doesn't it?
Do you think it's a set or what?
I don't know. I think it looks pretty. I think they would have hired that out from someone. I think it's quite common around London. I mean, it's common now, but in those to be in that sort of state, I think it would be relatively common around that time.
Yeah, I'm not sure they would have built that many sets for it. They built the Winchester, didn't they, later on? But I don't think it would be a set. I think it's someone's grotty front room.
Yeah, it's a definite Rillington Place vibes going on.
Yes.
Yeah. And Scotch Harry likes a drink, doesn't he? As we find out pretty quick. And did you clock what he actually drinks?
Is it Skull?
Drinks.
I think it's Skull.
No.
The Drambuie lager.
No, the first drink, I think, when he's in there, he has red wine, Drambuie, and lemonade. That's the drink here. I think he has a Drambuie shandy later.
He does, yeah.
But red wine. He gets in bottles of red wine, and he's got them lined up, and he pours them carefully. And this is something I picked up on the second rewatch. How good his performance is the way because he's doing drunk, but he's pouring the red wine, and then he's pouring, and he's got the bottles all lined up. And the way he pours it is quite really well done. But that's his drink, red wine, Drambuie, and lemonade.
Well, I think we've all had that in our time, haven't we? I don't think there's
I'm going to now. Next time we go out. Arthur called it a psychedelic cocktail, didn't he? Any more of those psychedelic cocktails?
The story unfolds then, doesn't it? And we get
a
bit of an unusual feature in that we get like a flashback.
Yes.
It doesn't really happen in Minder that much, does it?
No, not at all.
And we get a flashback to the airport where they're just looking to, Harry and Stan are there. They're just looking to nick somebody's. They're not there on a massive score, are they? They're just being opportunist thieves. But and they nick a suitcase. Rycott's there, being a bit dodgy, and he's clocked Scotch Harry, and he says he knows me better than my own brother. So the nick a case, and Scotch Harry has it away on his toes. Now this airport, gents, it appears to be bang in the centre of London. How's that?
Yeah, I didn't know this, but I did a bit of research into this. And it's not an actual airport. What it is, it's an air terminal. So what happened in the old days is that you could go and drop off your bag, your suitcase, but this is near Olympia, sort of Earl's Court way, and you could drop off your bag there, and then you'd get a bus to Heathrow. So it's not actually an airport. It's somewhere where you check in and put your bag, and then they drive you across. And this was before the Piccadilly line or whatever had been extended to Heathrow. So it was the only way you could get there. And I think originally there was one in Croydon as well for the Croydon terminal. And so I say it was totally news to me, because when I watched it the first time, I think, well, that's in the middle of London. How on earth are they doing this?
Yeah,
There's
it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not City
That's what I
Airport
thought.
or anything, you know. It's so I looked it up, but it did close in 1979. I think it closed a lot. It
Yeah,
did
but I
close
think-
earlier
I
than
think-
that.
yeah.
But
Yeah. I think even before then it had already closed, didn't
yeah,
it? And
I think it was
for
73.
the sake of the,
But it was. I think it was still being
for the
used
sake of the show.
for some things in 1979, and I think just before the episode went out, it had actually stopped for good in any shape or form. And then it was bombed. There was a terrorist attack there, I think.
oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. So yeah, but
Interesting.
and but you learn something by going back and watching loads of 70s and 80s TV shows, I think.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So,
So,
I mean, just quickly
yeah.
before we move on, Andy, you've both referenced Phil McCall and his less than subtle performance as a drunk Scotchman. I would refer you both to episodes of Bottle Boys.
Indeed.
Yes.
I mean, this is like Harold Pinter compared to Bottle Boys. He's just asleep all the time, isn't he? He's just drunk,
Yes.
asleep, drunk.
Yeah.
So
I did watch a.
I haven't seen Bottle Boy since 1984, so I am gonna. My memory of it is mainly the theme tune.
I did watch one episode one time before we went to see Asquith, and yeah, Phil McCall was in bed drunk. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
We need to have. We need every time Asquith gets mentioned, we need to do a Asquith.
Well, he is the golden thread, isn't he?
Yes.
Or is that Peter Ball? That's another conversation.
Yeah, that's another story. Have you asked? I don't suppose you've asked Asquith about Phil McCall, have you?
I've chatted to him about Bottle Boys a little bit. I mean, it's again, we're going off track, but that's fine. It's kind of a recurring theme in his career, isn't it? Where he's been in something extremely popular with the masses, yet sort of critically, panned, whether it be the Confessions, Bottle Boys, his stage shows, even all the way through with Benidorm. To be fair,
Yeah.
it's just that common theme throughout his career. But you're aware of the pilot episode, aren't you?
Of Bottle Boys.
Yeah, where there's some different cast members in. There's a different theme tune and stuff like that.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
But I can't say anymore. I've said too much as it is. But, yeah, I think Phil McCall's in that one. I mean, you're aware he came to an unhappy end, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, it's very sad.
Yeah. So, which does, not wanting to be too serious, but it does, and I'm not suggesting drink was a factor there. I don't know, but it does kind of give us slightly more. We watch this, and we're talking about Bottle Boys and all the jokes about being a pissed up Scotsman, etc., etc. But perhaps there is a sadder reality to that joke. Anyway, I've gone very dark, very quickly.
He was 76 or something, wasn't he? So it wasn't like it was, it wasn't a tragically early death through those sort of things.
He was supposed to go on stage, wasn't he, that night? I think it was opening night of something that he was in, and
Must have been really shit.
yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean that's the reality though, isn't it? I mean, if it had been brilliant, he would have been racing down to the theatre, wouldn't he, rather than.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, moving on.
It is a great performance by him in this episode of Minder, and obviously he comes back later on in series 6.
Yeah.
As Scotch
Yeah, it's
Harry.
quite a long time later,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's an odd episode, but obviously we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah.
About 70 episodes time.
Yes.
In 2028. Okay.
Yeah.
So what he goes, he has it on his toes, and he runs onto a very busy road then hides down a street, which I looked up on Google Maps, but I can't remember what it's called now.
Well, I can, because it's called Munden Street.
That's it. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And only because a friend of mine is called, his surname is Munden, so it just struck me as I saw it.
Right. Okay.
And he gets covered in cabbage or something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a
suggestion
strange...
that it's the back of a Chinese restaurant or something like that. Or an Indian
Yeah,
restaurant
something
or
like that. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
a pub, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, pub on the corner. But I think there is, if you look on Google Maps, there is the little alleyway that I think he runs down where he gets covered in all the gunge from the restaurant.
Isn't it quite close to where his flat is anyway?
So that's the hotel's Paddington. I can't remember where the flat is.
Oh, okay. I thought the flat was close to where
It might be
where he
It might be.
hides.
I haven't clued up on the
the
locations other than that. So
doesn't really matter.
So that brings us full speed, and then there's the big reveal, isn't there?
What's that?
Is there?
Well, it's kind of like a Pulp Fiction moment, isn't it?
Oh, well, when he opens the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's $500,000 in there. Yeah.
And there's lots of fabulous glances between Waterman and Cole in that entire scene.
Yes.
But Arthur opens it and looks to Terry and goes like that. It's just small little bits, and I think we'll start to see that sort of poetry in motion between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I read somewhere that this was the episode that Dennis Waterman kind of said he twigged with what it was all about and what was going on. And
Right.
I think this was the one where he started to feel comfortable doing. I think this was the third one they filmed, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was number 3.
Right.
But yeah, there's some brilliant little bits in it like that, isn't there?
Yeah, the chemistry's
Slightly
there
not-
early, isn't it? You can sense it, the way they bounce off each other and say the little nods and a wink to each other, and the little glances. Yeah. It really adds to the overall feeling of the show.
Yeah. So Arthur decides that they're going to have to give the money back, doesn't he? And Scotch Harry's not very happy about that because he thinks he's a hard man.
And what's Arthur's sort of rationale for that?
But basically, because they're small fry and they're going to be nasty people who are after the money, aren't they? Really?
And I think that's when he says about the psychedelic cocktails.
Yeah.
You can have a few more of them, and you'll be mouthing it all over the bonnet.
Yeah. He says, was it something like? He says to Terry when Arthur's gone. He says, "Big Davy McDougal tried to bite my nose off. I prized his teeth off with my bare hands."
I'm glad you're doing the accents, because I tried to do one earlier and it came out more Geordie, and I don't want I don't.
Oh, okay.
You can do the Scotch accents.
Yeah.
Americans can't tell the difference. The amount of times people being an American, people thought I was Scottish.
But he gets more and more annoying at this stage, doesn't he, Scotch Harry? And then that's what I say, when you watch it the first time, like poor old Stan goes out and buys a kebab, doesn't he? And he's like, "I hate kebabs!" and throws it on the floor.
That was really good, actually. That's a very accurate impression. Yeah. That was good.
My mum was born in Arbroath, so I can do this. That's all right.
No cultural appropriation.
No, half Scottish.
And you can see Terry getting more and more
Yes.
up to here with Scotch Harry, because there's nothing really sympathetic about him, is there? There's nothing really to like.
No, he's quite an unlikable character, isn't he? Which is why it's quite strange that he is one of the most popular characters.
Yeah.
But he is quite. Yeah. And what does Terry? It's cut out on ITVX, but what does Terry call him?
Scottish Ponce.
He grabs hold of it. Scotch Ponce. Yeah.
But it's like Terry flips really quickly, doesn't he? It's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He just he's had enough, and he's having a go at Big
Yeah.
Stan, and Terry just goes for him, grabs him by the scruff of the neck, and properly scares him. And then Scotch Harry is not looking quite as tough as he thinks he is.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Arthur's gone to the airport, isn't he, or the air terminal to try and find out the information. And he talks to the lady there, doesn't he? And he's giving it a charm, and he manages to charm and get the name out of her, and he's quite pleased with himself, isn't he? And he's going, don't suppose you get up to a White City much, do you, on a Saturday night? No, you don't, do you? Okay.
What is? So I've heard reference of this White City, and obviously I know it's a place, but what's the significance? Was there a big dance hall there, or
A dog racing.
or what?
Yeah, there was a dog track, yeah. Yeah, so I think it's kind of a reference to that, isn't it?
Right,
That they would go to the dogs at White City.
Yeah, you had two. You
And
had
then
got
he's
like
kind of-
Wimbledon, haven't you? You've got Wimbledon dog racing and White City dog
Yeah,
racing.
I think he's probably suggesting maybe that would she go to the dogs on a Saturday night? and clearly not. But that's where he would be. But
So he sussed out who
yeah,
the
he's-
owner was.
yes. And in the meantime, they're sort of the villains of the piece are sort of discussing amongst themselves, aren't they, what they're going to do about it and how they're going to get the case back. And they're the younger one who lost the case. His name's Brian, isn't it? And he thinks Rycott can help him do it. But they're quite a bunch of characters, aren't they?
And it's remarkable.
Yeah.
O'Brien, played by Osman Bullock, he's a bit hopeless, isn't he? He's just a bit of a posh twat. And
Yeah, but his girlfriend's nice.
we like Susan Vanner, who plays Kim.
Yeah, and she was in. So for one minute she's on a rug in the log cabin with Roger Moore in The Spy Who Loved Me, and the next
I knew it.
Yeah, and the next minute she's in with Brian in some dodgy hotel, and acting with the bloke from Bottle Boys. So but it's a bit of a come down. But yeah, so he's a bit wet, isn't he, Brian?
Yeah. But then you've got Morris Bonnet, the man, the overall man in charge, who's played by Hans Meyer, and he is a proper odd-looking bloke, isn't he? He's a proper,
He is. Yeah.
real villain, typical, of that era. Just massive, piercing eyes, cold stare.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just really quite menacing character. Oh, it's slightly unhuman in a way. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look quite right.
Yeah, it does. I guess he wasn't English, was he? I think he's South African, German South African.
He's
wasn't he?
actually French, but his parents were German. That is
French.
that's what my research. Well,
Very good research.
Wikipedia says. But he does look more German, and so you can see why he's that, because there is a sort of that South or Afrikaans sort of element to him.
And he's in Minder on the Orient Express as
He
well.
is,
isn't he?
yeah.
He plays the German
Yeah.
because he's like Arthur's morning, and he's like Morgan. Oh, morning, Mr. Morgan. Doesn't look Welsh, does he? But we're jumping ahead. Anyway,
But the other
he's quite
the other thing that he reminds me of Glenn Tilbrook out of Squeeze, and I don't know because Glenn Tilbrook isn't menacing looking, but every time he comes on screen, I think that looks like Glenn Tilbrook from about 1980.
Oh, okay.
So go back and have a look.
The main villain.
Yeah. Looks like the lead singer of Squeeze in 1980.
I can't say Glenn Tilbrook.
You wait till you watch it again.
Well, yeah.
So Eric,
You might have spoiled my favourite episode ever. So who's helping? Who's also helping this hard German, South African Frenchman?
Is it Eric?
Eric from the SAS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who was in
And he's-
Indiana Jones
I'm
and the Last Crusade?
he was. Yeah, I quite like him with his cigarette in the holder.
Yeah.
And then he's like, when Terry comes in later, he's, come on your own, old boy. Yeah. But yeah, I quite like it.
He was in. I watched loads of sort of not very well known films have landed on Amazon Prime, and I watched one yesterday, The Eye of the Needle with Donald Sutherland, and he turned up in that.
Wow, I'm not familiar with that movie.
It was all right, but let's not discuss it. Let's quickly move on. Can we take a moment, gents, to discuss Rycott? Because thus far, we've seen him at the airport, and then he's mentioned by the bloke who's lost the suitcase. So, what do we know about Rycott at this stage, both in terms of his standing as a policeman, but also his involvement in this scenario?
Not much, really. We know that he knows Scotch Harry. We know that he's hanging around an airport terminal, but what may be his day off. And yeah, I don't know. He looks a bit lost to me. We don't really know that much about him. We go
because he suggested, hasn't he, that he's obviously been demoted back to being a wooden top. He said, didn't he? And he had to do 8 years, and then now he's back in plain clothes. And he seems like a bit of a lone wolf, but he also seems bent as well, which is not the Rycott we kind of...
Yeah, it certainly gives that impression, doesn't it? That he's a man operating alone. He mentions 15 years and still a bloody detective constable. And, he screwed up his pension. And Scotch Harry mentions to him that there's been a wee bit of trouble. So, yeah, there's clearly been an incident.
Yeah. I think he does say, doesn't he, that he got demoted?
Yeah. Well, yes, I think so. He says 6 or 8 years or something back to being a whatever they call it. Yeah.
I think having read up on it recently, I think realistically, a corrupt. It would have been remiss of the writers of this show to have not factored in a bent Met policeman. Because by all accounts, in 1979, throughout the 60s and 70s especially, it was a huge thing, I believe.
Yeah.
Not tarring them all with the same brush. And
No, it's definitely... Yeah, and it's definitely maybe the way the show went, where it gets slightly more comical than they kind of thought that wasn't really the way they wanted to go with it.
Yeah. Both Chisholm and Rycott, they don't really, after the early scenes, they don't really show any sign of being bent. They just maybe slightly deluded in their obsession with Arthur Daley, but no sign of being on the make.
No. But did you notice one thing I read up, or did you notice he's driving?
No.
There's a remarkably bad bit of parking.
Very, very bad driving in the sort of parking, and there's a couple of scenes where he sort of has to just pull to a halt, and he does it really badly. I don't know if that's the car, or there's someone suggested that at this stage he couldn't drive. But it is quite noticeable how bad his driving is the shots when he's with Harry later on. I think they're obviously filmed on the back of a flatbed, aren't they? So he's kind of just doing that. But when you actually have to show him driving, he doesn't seem particularly... no, speaking as a particularly bad driver, and a reluctant one. I did know.
You can empathise with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's driving a Morris Marina, isn't he? Which was my family's car of choice until they stopped making them in the early 80s.
There you go. Yes, and so he then picks up Harry, doesn't he? And rather than taking him to the police station, unfortunately, he kind of takes him to the villains, doesn't he?
Because we've skipped forward a bit. And
we have, sorry.
We need to make up some ground. But Arthur, meanwhile, whilst Arthur's sussing out, basically how he can make a few quid out of this, he puts them in a safe place, a hotel where nobody knows them, but it turns out everybody knows them.
Yeah.
The bloke's like,
Hello,
"Hiya,
Terry.
Tel." Yeah. And Arthur
I'm
has a beard.
Scotch Harry, isn't it?
And he claims to be Scotch Harry's brother. You're mixing me up with my brother.
Yeah. Yes.
But whilst they're in there, and is that when we see the kebab scene? And Terry
No,
finally flips and says,
the kebab scene is back in Scotch Harry's original
Yeah,
bed set.
that's back in the flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But this is the bit that Scotch Harry wants to go out for a drink. Terry and Arthur have gone to, meet up with the villains, and Scotch Harry's left alone with Big Stan, and he convinces Big Stan to lend him 10 quid to go and get some takeout drinks. But obviously he just ends up going down the pub, having his Drambuie lager, and getting absolutely smashed. Yeah. And the barman phones up Rycott. Obviously got a little bit of a... Rycott's put the word out that he needs to find Scotch Harry.
Yeah, I don't know about his motivation for doing that, which is a bit weird, but it was,
And then, Rycott comes and gets him.
Which is exactly what Arthur predicted. You'll not be able to help yourself. You'll go out, you'll get pissed, you'll bring attention on yourself, and that'll happen. Did you gents take note of any of the pubs that Scotch Harry was in, or the location?
I did. I do remember looking it up. I think most of them had gone again.
Is it Shepherd's Bush? Is he?
It's Kentish Town.
Oh, okay. I only really know the Forum in Kentish Town, but
I don't actually, for my sins, I don't even know where it is. But
North London. North London.
Right. North London. Yeah.
Right. So, and one of them's because it's next to the market, and one of them's it's either called the Market Bar or that bit of the pub's called the Market Bar.
Yeah,
that's where we see him going in. So yes, the barman fingers him, and Rycott comes and gets him. Hello, Harry.
Yeah.
It's not nice to hear you doing a London accent. Very good.
Yeah, I can't do it I can't keep it up, shall we say. So, meanwhile, what are Arthur and Terry up to?
Well, they've gone to see Morris Bonnet and Eric and try and negotiate a deal. But obviously Arthur's not going to go in because he doesn't want to give his hand away to let him know that he's involved. So he sends Terry in to get to strike a deal with them. And they're demanding £50,000, not dollars. Although they're handing over $500,000, they're demanding £50,000 to be the conduit to return the goods.
Yeah.
And and they want to just organise a meet. They don't want to give any names, but they're going to meet up and get the deal done.
Then Eric follows Arthur and Terry, doesn't he? When they leave, and then they kind of go to sort of like a tower block, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is kind of quite strange. And then they go in, and then Arthur presses for the lift, and then they go and hide around the corner, and then that's where Eric... And I think Arthur's quite pleased with himself when he's done that.
Yeah, he's a bit ahead of the game. He's the one who realises they're being followed in the car. He's the one who shakes them off and loses them on the tail. So he's happy.
It's a very specific little trick that he pulls. That must have been.
Yes.
That must have been born. There must be some origin to that, born out of a proper situation that occurred, where somebody pulled a fast one by pretending to go up to the 10th floor.
Yes.
Terry and Eric don't exactly hit it off, do they?
No, there's a distinct lack of I don't know. Obviously, Terry doesn't really give any credence to the fact he's been in the SAS, and Eric doesn't really give any credence to the fact Terry's a bit of a hard man boxer. There's no respect between the two of them really.
No.
And not wishing to intellectualise this podcast too early, it's going to happen eventually. We
obviously.
But I would say that demon called class rears its head.
Very much so.
Not for the first time. It's a huge preoccupation for Terry in particular throughout the entire series, I would say.
Yeah. And it's quite played up, isn't it? With Eric, as said earlier, Eric with his cigarette in the holder and thing. It's kind of it's very.
I've seen you with one of them.
Yeah. Oh, all right. But yeah, he's very much a public schoolboy, isn't he? SAS and and Terry's not impressed by that at all.
Which I've got to be honest, I'm like, he probably knows how to kill a man with just his hand. So I'm not sure it's Terry.
He's not used to dealing with
Terry. Possibly,
he's not used to dealing with Terry McCann, is he? He can't.
No.
You can't just.
I agree, but does Terry underestimate him at his own peril?
Well, we'll find out in a few minutes. But in the meantime, Rycott has caught Scotch Harry and delivered him to the villains of the piece, and and they've duffed up Scotch Harry. They've taken it to him, and obviously then the game is up for Arthur and Terry and the money, and they need to go and save him and take Big Stan with them. And so then it comes to the final sort of climactic confrontation.
It's quite a nice bit, isn't it? Actually, it's very un-Arthur Daley when he says to Stan, doesn't he? He's like, friendship or dollars.
Yeah.
And he says friendship, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he kind of agrees that we'll let the money go, and it's friendship is more important than money, which is very un-Arthur Daley.
No, it is. Yeah, but you're right. It's a nice moment,
and it's a lovely bit from Big Stan as well, and he's sort of like, he's my friend. And it's like it's a really not. I think I love that character of Big Stan. I think it's really touching.
Yeah, and so they then have to go and rescue. They kind of give up on the money to a certain extent, don't they? And go to rescue Scotch Harry.
And when they get there, who's there? Somebody's waiting for them outside.
Yeah, Rycott is there.
Rycott. Yeah, and he says, hang on, isn't that the Pink Panther?
So they gave him they give him a bit of sort of witty repartee on the way in, don't they?
Yeah, friendly banter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're winding him up. Yeah.
And then they get in, and when they see the state of Scotch Harry, when they're going with blood all over him, and then sort of they start to lose. Big Stan loses it a little bit, and and it all kicks off.
Did you notice one? Just step back a second. Did you notice as they walk in the door what happens? As they walk into the hotel room. No, so Arthur's at the front, and then what Arthur does, he looks at them. And then he leans back against the door frame and lets Terry walk in front of him.
So there is really some subtly done. Classic Arthur. That's proper
it's
Arthur.
Really subtly done. But if you watch it, he just leans back slightly against the door frame, and Terry has to go in front of him. I love that. I love that bit. But yes, so it all...
Arthur will be nearest the door if it all goes south.
Yeah,
which of course it does.
It does. Yes. And they offer them £500, don't they?
Yeah.
Rather than $50,000.
Yeah, £500 to go away. But as soon as Big Stan sees Scotch Harry, he's not having it, and he takes a swing at Eric. And Eric's an SAS trained man, so he can handle Big Stan. He just ducks and weaves and hits him in the stomach, so Big Stan is out of it. But then Terry steps in, and it's a proper McCann Barney.
Yeah.
It's a classic Minder Rook for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then Arthur goes for the money, doesn't he? And the guy slams the case on his fingers. Oh! And then it falls on the floor.
Each other around the table, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's great slapstick at this stage. It is really good.
Yeah. And it falls on his foot, doesn't he? And then Arthur's laughs, brilliant, like, ha ha ha! It's really, really, really funny.
Meanwhile, I mean, so Terry's appalled at the fact they've duffed up Scotch Harry. There was no need for that. He's essentially a little old man, although he's probably only 33 at the time or something. And it's it's kicking off between, so Stan's on the floor. It's kicking off with him and Eric, and then
Brian
with Terry and Eric, sorry, and then Stan's on the floor, and does he trip him up or something like that?
Brian suddenly appears and he's trying to hit Terry over the head with a vase, and he's getting ready to do it, but then Big Stan sort of comes out of his stupor and grabs him, trips him up. I think he bites him at some point as well.
Yeah, I think
and then Terry just takes over and smashes Eric's head through some Lowry doors, which is a great moment. Again, a bit slapstick again. And then as they're going out, and Arthur's got a wad of cash as well. He's taken some of the dollars, and they're storming out. And then Scotch Harry goes, I'll let Andy do the accent, but effectively he's like, can I kick him?
Can I kick him?
and again, great slapstick. He kicks him, but he hasn't got a shoe on, and it hurts his foot doing it. So it's just all round really good. Mixture of violence and slapstick and comedy.
Classic Minder.
Yeah, it's proper good Minder finish.
Yeah. I love the fact that when he says, "Can I kick him?" Terry kind of just goes, "Yeah, I don't see why not. Go for it."
Yes, very good.
So they flee the scene.
Back to the Winchester, where they have a little tete-a-tete with Rycott again and suggest that if he isn't bent, that he should go up and arrest him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But
and then
whether Rycott did or not, we'll never know.
Well, we'll assume not at this stage. And then we end up back at the Winchester, and we find out the dollars are all funny money anyway, because Dave has gone to cash his $100 bill, and it turns out the Bank of England have told him it's a load of dodgy money.
Yeah. I mean, they're all ordering drinks, aren't they? I'll have a large Bloody Mary. Yeah, I'll have a Drambuie. Yeah, so
Drambuie Shandy.
Like, anyone want a drink? Anyone want a drink?
It's a curious that little ending, because it is funny. It's a brilliant ending, but it just feels like it ends a bit flat. There's not like a proper kind of wah 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 type moment. It's just Arthur stood there looking like, incredulous that this has all been for nothing, and then Terry is giving it the, "Do you want one, darling? Do you want one? Drink for him, drink." And I know what they're getting at, but I don't think it doesn't quite round the episode off.
Yeah, I agree. I think there would have been, if Arthur was buying the drinks, and it's not absolutely clear that it's Arthur's round, and then if it was very clear that Arthur had his money out and he's paying, or it's putting it on the slate, and then Terry goes round and offers everyone in the bar a drink, that would have sort of, I think, a little bit more of a classic Minder finish. But it just feels a little bit flat. And Terry also says something quite strange. He says, Dave says he'll have a Bloody Mary, and then Terry goes, "I'll have a Bloody Mary," and then he goes, "I'll have slimline tonic though." I think he's putting a slimline tonic in a Bloody Mary. You have a Bloody Mary with slimline tonic? Not in any Bloody Mary I've had. It's an athlete.
Yeah.
Yes.
But maybe Arthur was thinking the same thing I was thinking, was this happened last week.
Dodgy money.
The same. Yeah, well, it's the same kind of ending as the week before, which is
just dollars instead of pounds.
Yeah, which is, it seems strange that these two episodes were put together.
It's the exact same payoff as the previous week.
I'm also thinking that when Terry's saying I'll have a slimline tonic, he'd meant to say he would have had a VAT with Arthur, rather than saying he'll have a Bloody Mary,
rather than the Bloody Mary
with Dave. But then they've just gone, that'll be all right. Don't worry, no one's going to look at this 50 years later. Yeah, it'll be fine.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that could just be he's misspoken.
Yeah,
got his line wrong.
But it's fine, isn't it? It's saying it's only for idiots like us watching it years later and analysing it and trying to talk about it. And pick up on those things. But at the time, it would have gone out and. People might go, it's a bit strange, but assume you've misheard it. He didn't have a video in those days to go rewind it and check.
Yeah.
No.
So just a quick word on Dave. So this is apparently I don't know if you read the same thing when you're doing research. Someone on Minder.org, I think, had the original script and said that Dave was in the script is described as mid-50s ex-boxer with a glamorous 40-year-old wife.
Yes, was it Eileen? Yes, yeah.
Eileen, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that was supposed to be Linda Barron from the previous
episode 1?
From episode 1, because I looked it up. Linda Barron was 40 in 1979.
Would make sense.
And I'm wondering whether that just never happened.
Yeah, whether she thought it wasn't as big a part as she'd originally been promised.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose we'll never know. But it just seems like that sounds like who he was with in the first episode. But that wasn't really the Winchester, was it? This was definitely the Winchester.
Yes.
It says it as they walk in. There's a bouncer on the door, and
we're assuming episode 1 it was the Winchester Club, though it's a bit different and it's not quite. Yeah, it doesn't feel quite right with future episodes.
Pub, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something. I'm not reading anything particularly significant into this. I'm not trying to create a Paul is dead type conspiracy theory about Minder. But at some point when they are in the car, a van goes past and it's D.H. Harris Removals, I think. And I'm sure Dave is Dave Harris.
It is Dave Harris.
I don't think there's anything in it. I think it's just a coincidence. Like Arthur's not crossing the road with, no shoes on or anything like that. Although Scotch Harry does have no shoes on when he puts the boot in. So maybe Arthur is dead is a thing.
There's also a Volkswagen, but it's a camper van. Have you seen the orange camper van that appears in loads of episodes in the background?
I missed
that goes past at one point. Yeah, no, that goes past at one point in this episode. But that turns up a lot.
It must have been like one of their vehicles that they used for carrying stuff around and filming and stuff like that. Yeah,
definitely, with all the cameras and stuff.
We have missed one of my favourite lines from the whole thing.
Oh
no, it's when they're in the bed sit and they're talking about the whose bag was it, and they ask Scotch Harry which airline he'd got. And they said, so it's one of those American ones, and he says, like Pan Am or something. No, TWA. And he goes, TWA, you twit. It's a magnet. Yeah. Can you do the TWA in a Scottish accent, and?
TWA.
There we go. Brilliant.
They do say, well, not in there as in all Scottish people, but, I know of a pub near Scotland called the TWA Dogs Inn and stuff like that, so it is a thing. But yeah, you're right. Fantastic line.
It is, brilliant.
In the bed sit, we also get the bit where, he's getting in Terry's face a bit. And I'm sure he says, you big cockney hard man. Like that. And Terry says, right, don't get cheeky. He's not me.
Because he says, I got a not guilty for manslaughter. And Terry says, well, you probably didn't do it. But they don't know that.
So, this is Scotch Harry. I mean, you're not a million miles away from what's his name? You're not a million miles away from Jack the Hat and stuff like that. When people have got these names, these little little minor gangland figures, but then obviously they're just ridiculous as well. So so there we have it. The smaller they come,
the smaller they are.
Yeah,
smaller they are.
Yeah.
So you're gonna vote this one out of 10, Mark? What do you reckon?
I'm going to go with 8. I really like it. When I first watched it, I was edging towards 6 to 7, and when I rewatched it, I really like it. And I say all the individual little lines in it. I think it's got so many great one-liners and the so many great little scenes that I'd push it up to an 8. I think if you dug into the plot too much, you could really rip it to shreds. But I think it's a really good watch, good fun 50 minutes. It's an 8 from me.
Pete, what do you think? What would you rate it out of 10?
I'm gonna go 9.5.
Whoa.
They've introduced decimals. When
Yeah. I'm not quite ready to give it the full Bo Derek, but yeah, I'm gonna go 9.5. I think it's a classic little minder sort of mini film in 50 minutes. You've got those two, Scotch Harry and Stan, and there's obviously that sort of mice and men vibe going on, and that I always like that. That works really well. It turns up in the Sweeney, you know, where there's the big daft lump who's a bit strong, and then there's the smarter, smaller one. I mean, he's not that much smarter, but you know what I mean. You've got all those little looks and so forth between Arthur and Terry, and just that little bit where Terry says, "You all right?" And they just sit there awkwardly. So it's, to me, and then you've got a really good fight at the end with a bit of slapstick humour, all executed really well. So yeah, I think it's way up there. I think it really did the bizzle.
And if we're introducing decimals, I would go to 8.5. But
Okay. So I think I'm with, again, sort of with both of you. I think when I first watched it, I would have been 6 or a 7. But watching it again yesterday and talking about it today sounds like the greatest thing I've ever seen. But no, I think I'm going to go 9 because it is really, really, really good. And I think the only thing it would lose, I think, is the plot is pretty much the same as the previous weeks. That's the only.
Yeah.
That's the only. I mean, it's very similar, so that's maybe you lose a point for that, and maybe some of the couple of the Brian's was a bit weedy and wasn't very convincing, so maybe lose a point on that. But it's absolute classic, isn't it? And one of the myths about Minder is that the first series wasn't particularly good, but we're 3 episodes in, and they've all been great. We've enjoyed all of them.
Yeah, I'd say maybe
for different reasons.
And maybe more on repeat viewings as well.
Yes, definitely. But we've enjoyed them all, and yeah.
So does anyone go in the Hall of Fame? That's the question. We've got Rose Mellors in there so far from episode 2. Is anyone making it in episode 3? I mean, I love Big Stan. I'm not sure it warrants Hall of Fame because it's got to be a fairly high bar, but I really like Big Stan.
And Scotch Harry would. I mean, I think if people are listening to this, like real devoted fans, they'll be shouting at us to put Scotch Harry in.
Without question. And obviously he comes back, so he's got more than this opportunity.
I mean, I haven't seen
him out, can't we?
Yes, we can do. Okay, so are we putting him in?
I think we put him in.
I think we put him in.
Okay, Scotch Harry, you are in the Minder on the Slate Hall of Fame. Brilliant, well done.
And just touching on Dave Jackson, who plays Big Stan, do you know who he played in Only Fools and Horses?
Yes, go on. Pete,
Brendan?
He does. Brendan O'Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
The painter and decorator who did Denzel's flat and the Nag's Head later on.
Yes.
He
was also in, and I meant to thank you for reminding us because I meant to mention this earlier. I think he's also in a classic, probably more your era than mine, gents, no offence, a classic children's film foundation film called Breakout. And he plays a character called Donny the Bull, and he's got a spider's web tattooed on his head. And it's fabulous.
Don't remember that. I mean, we used to watch him. We used to watch him at school. Didn't we?
in assembly sort of thing. You had to sit in the hall and watch them.
So he probably saw it.
1984. About 1984, and they re-showed them on Sky, like in the 90s. Okay. I taped loads of them. Yeah, Donny the Bull.
I only remember them from junior school, so I don't think by 84 we'd have been done by then. That was our senior school years.
This would have been a bit gritty. I mean, this was definitely more Sweeney and Minder than Metal Mickey. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, just want to point out. So, okay, so we voted.
We have.
Need to keep a tally of these at some point. I feel a spreadsheet coming on.
We'll leave that to you.
Yeah, okay. We've put.
Has anyone got any other business? I think we're pretty much done, aren't we?
Yeah, there's only one. We did the charts last week. The charts are largely unchanged this week, but there is one very notable introduction at number 10 in the charts. I'm going as it's possibly one of the best singles of all time. It only ever made number 10, so it didn't go any higher. But it was the first top 10, well, not the first top 10 entry, but this song was entering at number 10, The Specials' Message to You, Rudy, which I genuinely think is one of the best singles of all time.
No, that's excellent.
Yeah, that's very good.
But a world away from West London and Minder.
Yes.
Well, it was all, it was all about the riots and, it was all kicking off all over the country then.
Well, you were one of the riot leaders. That's what I've heard. So, no, I think that's it, Andy. I think we're done, my friend.
Okay. Well, let's tie this up then. Well, that's what we thought of today's episode. Now it's your turn. Please let us know what you think. You can leave us a message in the comments below. You can contact us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at On The Slate Pod. We would love to hear from you. What have we got next week, chaps?
It's a tethered goat with Di Llewellyn and Lee Montague, which opens up all sorts of possibilities for Welsh accents. And so I'm about a quarter Welsh, so I can do the accents next week.
Excellent. I love Di Llewellyn in this, but we won't. We'll leave that till next week.
I was about to read that up as Mark a tethered goat. I was like, I don't remember that. But yes, Lee Montague, he's only recently passed, hasn't he? But we'll get into that next week.
Yes, fantastic. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.